All right, I've done my Odyssey with Alf. I thought that podcast was great because Alf brings so much information, so much knowledge. So the 3-part little section of that. Took a little break from podcasting, but now it's to get back into the Dolphins stuff. This is a big season, and there's a load of good information, interesting information that came out, and not all of it's positive. But it could be, but we got to parse it out. I want to cover today Mckenzie. So hoping to get 2 third-round picks for him. That's not working out. They hired Chiefs assistant general manager Mike Borgonzi. We're going to an 18-game schedule. This season, maybe the NFL moves fast, but certainly I'd say definitely next season. And that brings some realities. We're playing in Spain, losing a home game. Weaver looks like he's going to stay. And then I've talked about cycles of the NFL. A couple of years ago, I talked about pass balance, the move to the run game about 3 seasons ago. And what you do is, well, I'll get into it there. I'm going to talk about the postseason cycle that I'm seeing, and that's going to say a lot too. So that's the deal, guys. Please, if you can, like, subscribe, comment. Getting back to the comments, I've answered some of them, but there's some really good ones that take a little bit longer time, so I'm going to get back to them today as these unbelievable playoff games happen. So please hit that subscribe, like, and if you are subscribed, hit the notification bell, because that's how Curtis stays in his gig. Algorithm gods, and when they're fed, my sponsors are fed. I'll know soon if I'm coming back. I'm working on some other things, so there'll be another road maybe if this doesn't work. And even if it does, maybe another road as well. So I want to say thanks for all the support, everything you guys do. It's not easy being a Dolphins fan, especially with a guy like me. I try to tell it like it is. So I am so grateful, guys. So Mckenzie, he came to us. Him and Allen were big pieces, I thought, to our puzzle. Hasn't played out so much that way. I didn't want to see Mckenzie go, but I was hoping for those 2 third-round picks. They took assistant general manager Mike Borgonzi, as I said, so that's really out of the picture. Alf brought a lot of good information, talked about how Mckenzie really had a good inside track. He's got a lot of organizations there. He's got a home there. And I thought there was a really good chance, but that is no longer there. So I don't think we'll get any extra picks this year, but maybe in the future. Could either take over for Greer or maybe we'll get something for him. So it's a shame we could use all the picks. And some of the other things I'm going to talk about is going to explain a little bit why. 18 games. Every single game in the NFL taxes a team. And the addition to 17 games, you could see it really puts a heavy load on teams. They're going to reduce the preseason games. Whatever. Maybe that will make a slower start to the season. You need these games. I'm wondering if there's going to be more injuries because you need time to set that body up. But an 18-game schedule, bring back the tie season, won't be win or loss. I'll miss that. I like the ties. It kind of is very clear that way. But it is going to tax NFL teams' ability to have their ability to stay healthy and how much depth they have. Depth is going to be even more critical now that you add this extra game, especially if you're going to the Super Bowl or the postseason. It is going to be a heavyweight, and it's going to mean that this team needs to be deeper, and it's not. We're thin. So Greer, his picks are going to have to be better, especially in the mid-rounds, because when you invest in these big pieces, from a cap standpoint, it makes struggles, gives you cap struggles to fill out that roster. So you're going to have to draft well, and you're going to have to draft deep. You're going to need more hits. Doesn't mean they need to be superstars, but clearly guys that can play. And if this is the case, when you want to trade up and spend picks on free agents, it's going to affect you in a very serious way. I think the draft process is going to be enhanced in a much more serious fashion. It's already been all out, but this is going to go to 11, if you know, Spinal Tap. Spaceballs. It's going to go to Plaid. So we're playing in Spain. I can't stand it. I don't like it at all. And I guess Ross has no other way to say it, but he's excited and happy about, really, you need all the home games you can get. And this is going to take a road schedule and make it one more game. And I liked our road schedule. I'm not saying we could beat the teams, but when you look at the balance, we had the harder teams really, quote unquote, in our home games and the easier teams on the road. But now, one of these teams that's going to be a home team, and I don't think it's going to be in our division, it's going to put it on the road and take some of the advantage. Our home field, we play better at home. We have better options at home or better advantage at home because of the sun. But now you're going to play in Madrid. It's going to be a long road, and it's going to make it a little bit harder to be successful. And so we're going to be playing Washington on the road, Saints, Ravens, Bucks, Chargers, and our division. I don't think it's going to be a division. I just don't see that. So Washington, Saints, Ravens, Bucks, and Chargers. Tough game, made a little bit tougher. So I'm hoping, I don't know, depending on how the team shakes out, maybe the Saints on the road because they're a team we could beat. You need to get your wins with your home schedule. So not so good for us. I don't like it. I still think 2025 is going to be extraordinarily tough. This makes it a little bit tougher. And I just think it puts a little bit more coins on the table towards maybe not getting to where we want to be. But you never know. We'll see how it plays out. Now, Weaver looks like he's going to be back. We can't go to another change of a DC. It'd be 5 years in a row or something. This is good news. I like Weaver, especially if McDaniel craps out and they want to move on from him. At least we got somebody in the building that you can kind of put a little stock into, a little bit more to McDaniel. Maybe McDaniel changes. I just think it's going to be hard to reel it in. When you're the friendly coach, it's very easy to let that stuff out, but when you want to reel it in after being the easy coach, it gets harder. Now, it's not impossible because we're losing so many players. And so if you bring in new players in, he can kind of go to the hard route. And a lot of the guys that we're keeping, I think, are good guys, and so they'll buy into it. But some of them aren't, and it's going to be interesting. But I'm glad Weaver's coming back. Now, the last little bit, this is the most interesting. I put at the end. I'm going to start doing the simple stuff up front and maybe the more complex football stuff in the back end. Not everybody's into that. When I watched the postseason 3 years ago, I had a feeling, I talked about the AFC arms race in the run game, but then when I saw the postseason and how teams were playing, how teams were winning, it was clear they were moving from the pass and fun ball to pass balance and the run attack. Unfortunately for us, it's not definite bad, but you're seeing the mobile quarterback is a piece they're bringing in to offset these defenses. And you look at all the quarterbacks that are winning or still in it, and most of them have mobility to high-end mobility. The only ones really left is Stafford, who has some mobility, but he's not really a scrambler, and Goff, who's pretty immobile. I mean, they can move in the pocket, but they're not breaking it out. They're not running RPOs with the quarterback draw. They're not going to break it necessarily for big runs when the pass rush breaks down and they scramble up and hurt teams. So the defenses aren't keying on their movement, although they're paying attention a little bit with Stafford, who's very good in the boots and the rollouts and stuff like that to throw the pass. But you got Stroud, Lamar, Mahomes, Daniels, Hurts, and Allen. And so what it's saying is the sweet spot. I mean, we've got to wait for this thing to play out. This is the next round. We'll be able to evaluate it, and certainly the Super Bowl. I mean, if Stafford wins, it says something, but what it's saying is that it's very hard to get protection and pass blocking, and sometimes even the run game can get clogged up. And by adding these first downs and the threat of the run, it's helping these offenses find a way in a season where the defenses still have it keyed in. They're the superior side of the ball. And for Tua, who can't, he can kind of move. He was a lot more mobile early on. Steve Malloy and I talked about that's another interview I'm coming up with soon. But he's not moving, and they're concerned about the injuries. He's going to be a mostly very, very strong pass quarterback without the movements. And so things can change into next season, but clearly offensive coordinators and teams, as they build their team structure, are saying, hey, we need a little bit extra. We need a little bit of help. Let's get these mobile quarterbacks. And it makes it a little bit easier to build around them. Although, when you get on the move, unless you're like Allen, unless you're like Mahomes, injuries pile up. And so it's not a cure-all, but clearly the playoffs are saying the NFL cycle is towards that. Now, I still believe in the pocket quarterback. He still can have success. Look at Goff leading the league in points, best offense in the league. But this framework that you need, especially on the offensive line, it rises in pieces that you need and successful pieces you need, and then the depth behind it to support that. And the Dolphins are a long way from that. This draft and free agency and all that stuff can go a very far distance to filling this out. But I am concerned that Tua might have missed his window with the way we like to do it and what we put around him. And because Grier has stripped this offensive line and the blocking tight end unit so much, it's so bare that he's going to have to add so much that this year it's going to be very tough. Now, if he drafts really well, though historically doesn't, then this thing can get fixed, and maybe you can get a situation where Goff or Stafford is, and then Tua's skill set can get to that sweet spot. But I just don't know if I see it now. And so I think a lot of this stuff is pointing towards, at this stage, a difficult path. The leverage is going to be against them. It doesn't mean they can't overcome it. It's not to say, doom and gloom, but we've got to be realistic. So I think these are all signs that we've got to see how it plays out. Certainly, we're not getting the picks. That's done. The 18 games, does it come? Does not come? But it is coming. It is coming. It definitely is coming. Spain, who do we play? When do we play it? How are we all going into it? We got to wait to see with that one. Weaver looks like he's going to stay. We got to see with that. But this cycle of mobile quarterbacks is definitely a clear thing. And these cycles point to, where the league is seeing as the sweet spots. So clearly, being a mobile quarterback's always been good, but it always hasn't been the same kind of leverage that it appears that it's bringing now. So we'll see. We're going to supposedly draft in a quarterback. Not saying replace Tua, but I am sure that Grier and McDaniel are looking towards this type of quarterback to come in and to be a backup, to maybe bring a change up occasionally, or to be the person to succeed to if he doesn't pan out. So anyway, that's it, guys. Enjoy the playoffs. Thanks again for all you do. Curtis saying, be well, go Fins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.